Now, let me go back to those two words. I said the first word, apotheosis, or ascension, or assumption, all over the Roman, Greco-Roman, and Jewish world, that was taken for granted. It could happen. God could do it to an Elijah, complete with chariot, maybe Enoch, Moses, actually in not so much in the Bible, because the Bible says he died, but then nobody knew his grave. So Josephus and Philo says, nobody knew his grave. He went up.
Yeah.
So that was taken for granted. Now you could say, I don't believe it of your guy, but it was the international thing that could happen. Let's turn now to resurrection. Resurrection was not international or intercultural. It wasn't even totally Jewish. It was sectarian, Pharisaic theology. And it started, we can almost date it to the time of the Maccabean Martyrs in about 160 BCE. And it was a question not about us. We want to know, do we live on? The answer throughout the Jewish Bible was, get over it. You go down to Sheol and it's over. We don't do that Egyptian stuff of living forever and building the big pointy things. Then why did they come up with this idea of resurrection? It almost dated to the book of Daniel, chapter 12, and 2nd Maccabees, where they say we'll get the body back, and we're being tortured right now, but our tongue's being cut out, but we'll get it back. We'll get the arms back. The 7 sons of the mother in 2nd Maccabees, because of a belief that there has to be a cosmic justice somewhere in this world. If God is in charge of the world and God is just, this can't be the way it is. There has to be a restitution. And they would have said, well, don't tell us that our souls are immortal. We know, we've read Plato. Don't tell us our souls were immortal. It was our bodies that were tortured. It was our bodies that were killed. We were executed in the bodies. So we want to know, in the justice of God, will the bodies not come back? And then comes the big question. How could Paul possibly say then that Jesus is resurrected? By all means, he's ascended into heaven. You could claim that. That's just part of the wallpaper of their world. Jesus is the founder of our faith, let's say, so like Romulus for you, Moses, he has ascended into heaven and sits with God. Fine, all of that, fine, that's essential. So Paul has to say he is the first fruits of the general resurrection. In other words, Paul can only understand resurrection as this cosmic resurrection. Now, Jesus started it, he says. Because remember, the general resurrection is about the cosmic justice of the world. Now, to say that Jesus is the beginning of this process, that's why crucifixion and resurrection go together for Paul, because the challenge of a just world begins for Paul with Jesus. They took this person who lived for non-violent resistance to Rome and they executed him. That for Paul, he's going to say, is the judgment on the world. He says that. He says they killed the Lord of glory. So he's not just saying, well, you know, they executed Jesus. That was really not nice. He looks at Jesus as the beginning of the cosmic justification of the world. That's his great word in Romans, as you know, making the world a just place. How do you know if somebody uses the term raise up? They're not talking about ascension. If you use the word anastasis, that's the giveaway. Apotheosis is ascension, anastasis, usually anastasis necron, the raising up of the dead ones. So anastasis necron, that's why Paul says in 1 Corinthians 15, if there is no anastasis necron, there is no general resurrection, there can't be a Jesus resurrection. No Jesus resurrection, no general resurrection. And the first time I read, I went, wait a minute, Paul, why couldn't Jesus have his own little private, individual resurrection just for him as Messiah and Son of God? Paul would say, but you idiot, Dominic, don't you understand that resurrection is about the human race? Jesus can be the beginning of it, but you couldn't have a solitary resurrection. That's not what resurrection means. You can have a solitary ascension. So I'm going to be very blunt. I don't think most Christians have a clue what resurrection means. If they were talking to Paul today and they heard him say to them, there cannot be a resurrection of Jesus without the general resurrection, they would want to say, why couldn't it be just for Jesus? General resurrection, whatever, leave that aside. These are part of a justification of the world.